Namaskar and welcome to Sunset Television. I am Vishal Dahiya and you're watching our special show Perspective, where we bring you detailed analysis of all key national and international issues. Today we're going to talk about the global solar grid and the fourth assembly of International Solar Alliance, which is being held virtually now, will deliberate on the key initiatives around the operationalization of One Sun, One World, One Grid initiative, in addition to $1 trillion solar investment roadmap for 2030 and approval of a blended financial risk mitigation facility. Now, world leaders of ISA member countries will also discuss the strategic plan of the ISA for the next 5 years, which include country partnership framework strategy for private sector engagement and initiatives such as viability gap financing scheme to facilitate affordable financing for solar energy projects across ISA's membership. Now, the concept of a single grid for solar power was first outlined at the first assembly of the ISA by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. It envisions building and scaling inter-regional energy grids to share solar energy across the globe, leveraging the differences of time zones, seasons, resources, and prices between countries and regions. OSOWOG will also help decarbonize energy production, which is today the largest source of global greenhouse gas emissions. In this episode today, we will discuss all issues related to ISA and the proposed global solar grid as well. And for more on this, we're joined by a distinguished panel of 3 experts. Let me first introduce them to you. Beginning with, we have with us Mr. Praful Pathak here in the studio. He is the president of Solar Energy Society of India. Welcome, Mr. Pathak. And we're also joined by Urmi Goswami, senior journalist who've been reporting on issues related to environment, climate change, and obviously solar energy as well. Ambassador Mohan Kumar is also joining us. He's the chairperson of RIS and a former ambassador who's been involved in key negotiations on this issue and climate change as well. Welcome, all of you, to Sunset TV. Let me begin with you, Urmi, and let's start by looking at what are the key points which will be debated, discussed during the ISA's fourth assembly. I mentioned some of them here, but what is it that we are expecting might be the outcomes here?
Well, the big outcome relates to the One Sun, One World, One Grid, and the $1 trillion investment by 2030. These are the 2 big things, and the blended finances. The 3 points that you mentioned, those are critical because what has happened is that ISA was set up in 2015. It was announced in 2015 at the Paris Climate Summit. It's been 5 years since it was announced. It has a slightly shorter life in terms of when it became a UN recognized organization. But the fact of the matter is that the world's changed a great deal since ISA was set up. And now there is a rush, a speed at which we need to have clean energy adopted. So in a sense, this is a critical assembly where ISA starts moving to phase 2. So it is more than about solar pumps. It's more than about ensuring access. It's not that those are not critical issues. Those continue to be critical issues. But it's about having that access in a more sustainable manner. So you're looking at greening the grid. Mm-hmm. You're looking at ensuring that regions of the world where solar is not as easily available can dip into the grid and be connected. Okay. Now, obviously, none of these things are going to happen overnight, but it is a process that has begun, as with the process of decarbonization. In a sense, ISA has always been an embodiment of the best spirit of Paris. Okay. What each country can do by itself and what we can do better together. And that this is once again that. So each of the 3 things that you mentioned are reflective of what countries can come together, that ISA as an organization, as an alliance of its member countries can come together to ensure that together we can have a cleaner energy system in the world.
Okay. So it's about putting the best foot forward with cleaner energy system there. Let me bring in Mr. Pathak here also. Mr. Pathak, the One World, One Sun, One Grid concept. Now, it's something which is not easy. It's a complicated process. 2 things which we would like to understand from you is, One, how do you think it will be operationalized? There are various aspects to it. And second, why do we need it?
Well, as you said, why do we need this? That I will take first. As she was referring about the Paris Convention, and world is looking for climate change or whatever the things that are happening. What we are intending is to give the future generation a clean world. And when we look at clean world, we are trying to avoid the use of fossil fuels. And when we are trying to avoid the use of fossil fuels, naturally, the clean source of energy which is available with us is from the sun. It is abundant in nature, and it is that source wherein you don't need any logistics or anything. So that cost also is not there. It is freely available. So another thing is, those member countries which are there, they are all the countries wherein we have those are tropical countries, and they have a good sunlight. And I would share one good example. Some 6 years I have witnessed. We are a big country, and if we go to the eastern part, northeast, you will have a sunset at 5, but at the same time you have a morning at 5 o'clock. So you have a sun available in the morning at 5, which is not available in my western side of my country. And on the contrary, if it is available in western side in the evening, the eastern side needs the energy. So these energies produced from sun can be shared to the neighboring areas, wherein, and it is told that the basic problem of solar energies, it is not available in the evening hours or night hours. So adopting this one world, one solar and one grid thought, that will give us the advantage that we can have this energy from sun on a time when we don't have sun.
And the underlying theme, the sun never sets.
Yes, and that is the basic thought behind this, that sun never sets. So on any part of the world, it is available. So let's put it to the service and then have one grid, so that wherever the sun is available, the energy is available, we can transfer it to the area where it is not available at that time. So that is the basic thought behind all these things. And as you mentioned, whether it will have the problems and all that. See, it may have. I don't think any problem, but there may be some problems. But there are many advantages, because we are doing it globally. We are doing it for the neighboring countries. We are doing it with the help of international biddings and all that. So whatever the infrastructure you are getting, whatever the technology you are getting, whatever the financing you are expecting, that will be through international bidding and all these things. So definitely whatever you get is something which is, and the basic thought behind this is to let's make this energy affordable. As you mentioned, there are countries whether they will afford or not. So that is the basic thought behind this.
So operationalizing, a project of this big scale is obviously not easy. There will be challenges, but then that is where the push has to come in to achieve that target.
Where there are challenges, there are opportunities, and we must go for it.
Indeed, definitely. Let me bring in Ambassador Mohan Kumar here as well. Mr. Kumar, the International Solar Alliance itself is a wonderful example of green energy diplomacy. And then if you look at, the global solar grid, which we're talking about, one sun, one world, one grid, that is taking this entire concept one step forward, because there will be a lot of nations, a lot of countries who will become part of it, and then they will be connected via not only a solar grid, but also the resources will be pooled, and there will be a lot of effort being put in by all member nations there.
Yes, thank you very much for having me. I was ambassador in Paris in 2015 when the Solar Alliance was announced by Prime Minister Modi and the French President Francois Hollande. And I thought to myself, if I look at the negotiating trajectory of India, I think that was the moment India chose to become part of a solution rather than be part of a problem. We were perceived as part of the problem, and I thought it was a master stroke to come up with the idea of one world, one grid, and plus the Solar Alliance announcement itself in Paris. I think we became part of the solution. I think this fourth assembly is terribly important because it comes against the background of the Glasgow COP26, under which, frankly, India is under some kind of pressure. There is a tendency to bracket India and China, which is not correct, because China is a completely different league in terms of the utilization of coal and greenhouse gas emissions. But I think if we can make this one sun, one world, one grid work, if we can get this $1 trillion, which the first speaker, first panelist spoke about, which is a huge challenge, and if we can operationalize the tripartite agreement between the Ministry of Renewable Energy, World Bank, the International Solar Alliance, then I think India can go confidently to the Glasgow COP26 and say, listen, we are doing so much more than many other people who are choosing to continue with consumption of coal and others who are only paying lip service. So I think India can prove through actions at this fourth General Assembly that this is a concrete, workable project and that India is making a solid contribution. So that is the geostrategic imperative, if you like, to make one sun, one world, one grid work. For me, that's I think, much more important than the other nuts and bolts, which is something that will happen in due course.
Okay. Indeed, that's a very, very important way of looking at how this is moving ahead and how India's role is really, really crucial at a global level. Urmi, as Mr. Kumar is pointing out, it becomes really important in the run-up to that climate change summit as well from India's point of view. But herein also comes in the challenge, and the challenge is to make this project financially viable. And that is why during this fourth assembly, a lot of focus is on ensuring that only.
That's true. And part of the, you have got the World Bank as well as part of this effort. You are getting in other member countries. We will see John Kerry, the special envoy for climate, the US President's special envoy for climate change. He will be addressing, and clearly this is again comes into the global effort to build back better. If you remember that the US President Joe Biden announced this whole fund for building back better, which was basically about cleaner energy into the global system, cleaner energy options across the world. Of course, there is a geopolitical angle to it, which is an alternative to the Belt and Road Initiative by China, and that's an unstated aspect of this effort. But this one sun, one world, one grid actually feeds into that. It is also something that is looking at providing a cleaner option, because you have to remember the Belt and Road Initiative is heavily dependent on coal and fossil fuels. Of course, China said that it will stop investing, putting money into fossil fuels outside the country. But as it stands now, the Belt and Road Initiative has a lot of coal in it. This is an alternative, which is clean from the word go. So clearly, yes, investments are critical, which is why this is not going to happen overnight. Besides the technical and technological issues, getting standards, all those, those practical issues, that is on one hand. The other part of it is the investment. But there is money that is there for moving into cleaner energy options. Because at the end of the day, the intent is to keep the temperature threshold well below 2 degrees, the temperature increase well below 2 degrees above pre-industrial levels, and with the best efforts towards 1.5. At Glasgow, we might see 1.5 becoming what is the more preferred option as against the well below 2 degrees. And therefore, what does that mean? That means that there has to be more efforts to move away from fossil fuels and other greenhouse gas emission creating activities. Now, that is not going to happen without any investment. Energy is the largest share of greenhouse gas emissions anywhere in the world, no matter how small your economy is. Unless you're a completely agrarian economy with no other kind of very little energy consumption, even then, energy is a significant player in the GHG pie.
Okay.
And therefore, if you can make this transition to green, to less carbon intensive in some cases, and to completely no carbon options, clearly that's a big jump and a big gain for the planet.
Indeed, and investment is the key out there, as both of you are pointing out. Mr. Pathak, you also earlier mentioned in your first response how some of the countries which are part of this International Solar Alliance, from Africa, from Southeast Asia as well, are not that financially well equipped to go ahead and put in place large solar projects. Therein comes the issue of investment, the issue of ensuring that there is adequate finance available. And as Ambassador Kumar was also pointing out, this becomes really important if this overall dream of global solar grid has to be implemented, has to be operationalized. So how do you think, these member nations, specifically the ISA, should move ahead from here onwards? How do you see things moving on?
You are very right. There are countries wherein we can think of that how can they sustain or how can they do this. That question is there. But the World Solar Bank, that concept is also there, wherein this answer lies, that wherever there are such type of problems, so that can be taken care of, the financing and all these things. And basically, this is the golden chance for India to lead the world. We are in a position to, and as a giver to the other countries which needs. So that is another thing we are doing. And mainly, India is leading, and other countries who are in a position to join our efforts, they are there and they will help out to the countries where they need or they are not in a position to match the requirements.
Okay.
But World Solar Bank concept will take care of all these things which you are worried about.
Okay.
So.
But on the domestic front, Mr. Pathak, how do you think are we moving in a right direction? Because if you look at the numbers, we've done wonderfully well from somewhere around 2.6 rather gigawatt in 2014 to around more than 45 gigawatt of solar power generated in 2021 by September end. And the target is to take it to 100 gigawatt by 2022. So that's a very ambitious target, but it looks like we are on the right path domestically, because we will also have take a pole position here.
Very right. Means whenever we were there in 2010, and when we were talking about the target set at that time, 20 gigawatt was the target. We felt that is amazing. But laterally we revised it to 100 gigawatt and all that. So it is like a glass of water. Means if we look at how much it is filled in, I believe that whatever achievement we have made in domestic, means our own country, that's unbelievable. Means we never had a thought in 2010 or 12 that we can plan this and we can go for this, and we are near to this. Whether we have achieved or whether we are achieving is or not, that we will prove, we will see at the end of 2022. But as far as whatever we have achieved, that is remarkable, and basically that set the things rolling. So there may be a possibility that we may not be in a position to achieve, but at least the things which started rolling, so that momentum which has developed, I'm very much sure that we may achieve or we may short of a little, and if we are at that position, so that will help us in our future targets after 2022. So I'm very much optimistic, and whatever the changes that has happened in our country in last 5-6 years, that gave a good momentum to all the efforts which we are doing. And if we can do it domestically, then we can lead internationally.
Indeed. And if we can do it domestically, we can show it to the world that this is how it is being done now.
Yes.
That brings me to Mr. Kumar again. And Mr. Kumar, you earlier spoke about how, the announcement in 2015 of the ISA came in as India being part of the solution, not being part of the problem. Now, what I want to understand from you is that from here onwards, it has been almost 6 years for the ISA. 2018, the global solar grid idea was floated by Prime Minister Modi, and the operationalization is being discussed right now. How do you see the road ahead from here onwards vis-a-vis the solar energy, the issue of clean energy when we are looking at, and therein the role being played by solar energy and the lead being taken by India in all these matters?
So that's, I think, terribly important, because we are yet to update our national determined contribution. You know, what we decided in Paris was that every 5 years, it's called the ratcheting mechanism, by which nationally determined contribution has to be updated. What has happened is that the nationally determined contribution that was conveyed in Paris, as your two panelists say, we have been able to fulfill in large measure. So we have succeeded. But then they want you to come up with a more ambitious nationally determined contribution in Glasgow. And one of the things that the Prime Minister has announced is an ambitious target of 450 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2030. There's a lot of pressure on India to update its nationally determined contribution at Glasgow to make this 450 gigawatt into, it's not a binding target, because at the end of the day, the Paris Agreement is not binding like the WTO agreement. But nevertheless, it is a red-faced test. Once you intimate this to the world, you can't go back. So what I want to tell your viewers is that there is also tremendous pressure on India to be more and more ambitious, because delivered substantially on the domestic side. The other thing which is of geopolitical significance to me as a diplomat is that the International Solar Alliance, talking to the Global Energy Alliance to help the least developed countries and the small island developing economies, is crucial, because we need the support of the least developed countries and the small island economies, who are all members of the International Solar Alliance.
Indeed.
So that is the kind of coalition building that India has to do. The fact of the matter is that India consumes a lot of coal. We don't consume as much coal as China, but there is pressure on India by the international community to consume less and less coal, which is kind of ironic, because coal prices are up. Germany is yet to do away with coal. So there is a bit of hypocrisy there. But that is the politics of climate change negotiations, if you like, which is why I think this fourth assembly is extremely important. If we can demonstrate
Indeed.
that the concept of one sun, one world, one grid is workable, it's a concrete business idea, but to kind of have grids between regions and to leverage the difference in time zones, the difference in sun, and you rightly mentioned the sun never sets on the one grid, one sun, one world network. If we can do that, then I think we will be able to set the agenda in the climate change negotiations.
Okay.
Should be India's ambition. And that will be the logical culmination from moving from being a part of the problem 10 years ago to not just being part of the solution,
Indeed.
but to be able to suggest global solutions which are workable.
Okay, indeed, that is really the goal there, to be a part of the solution, as you started out by saying. Mr. Kumar, thank you so much. And Urmi, also, thank you for sharing your views and inputs. Mr. Pathak, for giving us insights into how actually we moved ahead domestically. There it is, all about the International Solar Alliance and the concept of global solar grid. That is one world, one sun, and one grid, with the underlying theme that sun never sets. The concept wherein India has taken the lead to provide a solution, and the operationalization of this particular global solar grid is going to be really important. The details being discussed at the 4th Assembly of the ISA. We'll keep a close watch on all the developments there and bring you all the details. Till then, keep watching Sunset Television. Thank you.